Welcome to Section 4.2, Part 3. This is the 31st session of the CISSP exam prep series. This part shifts to moving technology across borders and to the patchwork of privacy law. In this session, we'll cover export controls and the major privacy laws you must recognise. We'll answer several questions. Why does the government control the export of technology? How are encryption products treated? Where does the right to privacy come from? What limits how the government handles your data? And which sector-specific privacy laws matter most? Why does this matter beyond the exam? Because a single deployment can trip several of these rules at once. Picture a team pushing an encryption feature to users in another country while storing health records in the cloud. That one release touches export law, privacy law, and breach rules together. Knowing the map keeps you from an expensive misstep. Why does the government control the export of technology? Because the same tools that power commerce can power a military. Strong computers and encryption are dual use, valuable to allies and dangerous in the wrong hands. So two regulation sets govern what leaves the country. One controls true military and defense items and the technical data behind them. The other covers commercial goods that could have military uses, including an entire category for information security products. There is also a short list of countries of concern where extra restrictions apply. Think of it as a customs gate that inspects not just goods, but capabilities. How are encryption products treated? With special care, because encryption once counted as a near weapon. Under older rules, exporting even modest encryption abroad was almost impossible, which put domestic software makers at a real disadvantage. After heavy lobbying, the rules were relaxed to help the industry compete. Now, retail and mass-market security software can be submitted for a review that is supposed to finish quickly, after which firms may export freely. Picture a fast-track lane at that same customs gate. Opened once officials confirm the product is common commercial strength. Where does the right to privacy come from? Not from any single line in the founding document, which is what makes it contested. The anchor is the constitutional protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. Courts have stretched that idea over time to cover wiretapping and other intrusions. So privacy in the United States is less a single wall and more a patchwork stitched from court rulings and targeted statutes. Think of it as a quilt. No one law covers everything, so many narrow ones cover specific corners. What limits how the government handles your data? A foundational Privacy Act restricts what federal agencies may keep about citizens. Agencies must hold only the records they truly need, let people view and correct their own records, and get consent before sharing them, with narrow exceptions. A separate Communications Privacy Act makes it a crime to intercept electronic messages like email and voicemail, and a later amendment forced carriers to enable lawful wiretaps with a court order. Anti-terrorism law broadened surveillance powers, some of which lapsed and were restored under a successor act. And a Cross-Border Data Act lets authorities compel companies to hand over data even when it sits on servers abroad. Picture a set of guardrails on government reach, each one added after a new technology outran the old rules. Which sector-specific privacy laws matter most? The ones tied to health, finance, children, and education. Health law imposes strict privacy and security duties on providers and insurers, and a later update extended those duties to the business partners who handle protected health information and added breach notification. Financial law loosened barriers between banks and insurers but required written privacy notices to customers. Children's online privacy law demands verifiable parental consent before collecting data from young children. Education privacy law grants students and parents rights over school records at any institution taking federal funding. And identity theft law finally treats the victim, not just the defrauded creditor, as the injured party. Think of these as targeted patches, each sealing the gap in one high-risk industry. How do organizations learn a breach happened? Through notification laws, which mostly live at the state level. One pioneering state law was the first to require telling individuals when their personally identifiable information was exposed, covering things like a name paired with a financial account or government identifier. Other states copied that model until the whole country was covered. At the federal level, only the health sector carries a nationwide breach notification duty. Picture a smoke alarm requirement, Most of the rules about when it must sound were written state by state, not from one central switch. So let's bring it together. Export controls exist because computers and encryption are dual use. So two regimes police what leaves the country, with a fast lane for common security software. Privacy rights are a patchwork anchored in the search and seizure protection and stitched together by targeted statutes. Federal privacy and surveillance laws set guardrails on government reach, including across borders. Sector laws patch the high-risk industries of health, finance, children, and education. And breach notification lives mostly at the state level, with health as the one federal exception. Learn the map, and each release you ship stays on the right side of it. The MCQs covering all the topics and concepts from this session are available on rucloud.com. Practice the chapter-specific MCQs before moving on to the next session. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or feedback, post a comment below or email us. I will see you in the next session.